Hey, my name is Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. We don't rely on fancy equipment for training, and most of us don't even have gym memberships. In fact, our motivation comes from within. You see, we have jobs, families, and responsibilities, but we still have big goals, and they aren't getting achieved at a global gym. For that reason, we have to do things differently. Our training has to be smarter. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man or a ton of time to train, and we don't need it, because we are achieving amazing things without it. So how do we do it? If you ask your average personal trainer or gym goer, they'd call us crazy. Yet we're seeing results better than most every single day. And it's happening by blending mental training with physical training and becoming an athlete. What we call, and welcome to, Garage Gym Athlete.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jared Moon here. Welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. I am here today with Joe. What's up, Joe?
Hey.
And John, man, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for you guys having me.
Yeah, man. So I'm going to let you run with it right here at the beginning, man. If you could give us just some basic intro stuff, you know, who you are, how you train, what you do for a living, all that good stuff.
Okay. My name is John Greaves III. I am the founder, editor, publisher of Garage Gym Life Media, and that is it's a website, it's a YouTube channel, and we are also putting together the first magazine, the first general fitness magazine for people who train at home since the late 80s. As far as how I train, man, I just like to have fun. I consider myself a physical culturist, and so I do a lot of exercises that you would see in the old magazines. If you pulled up like an old, I don't know, like a book by like George Hackenschmidt or something like that, Eugene Sandow. Sometimes you see like the bodybuilding magazines will have old pictures like that, and that's the way I like to train.
Yeah, man, I've seen some of that. I mentioned it before we got started. So what kind of led you into that? You know, the more you say physical culture, which I love that term, unconventional barbell work. I know on it, like they have like some certifications in unconventional barbell, which I think are pretty cool, like different lifts, more unconventional. What got you into that stuff?
Well, so people always laugh when I say this, but I've been lifting weights since 1993. So it's 2018 now. That makes it about 25 years. And that's a long time to just do squat, bench, deadlift. And to be honest with you, when I started, we were told squats are bad for your knees. You shouldn't do them, and they'll make your waist thick. You can build your legs by using other methods that are safer and less uncomfortable, whatever, leg extensions, that sort of thing. Deadlifts, same thing. Don't deadlift ever. If you bench press, that's fine, but I'm actually still not sure why holding a bar over your face is considered safer than squatting or deadlifting, but whatever. Anyway, but if you're bench pressing, definitely you don't want to arch because that's unsafe as well, right? And so when I started out, I was really just lifting because my girlfriend at the time was stronger than me. She had to
Nice.
rescue me. I weighed 135 pounds, and I thought I was okay. I wasn't. And we went to, I don't even remember the name of the gym, but we went to a gym and we both were going to go bench press because that's what you do. So she benched 135 and she only did it once, but you know, hey, I'm a man. So I get down there and surely I can do this. No, I couldn't. So not only could I not do it, but she had to pull the weight off of me. All right. So that's what got me started. And so it was really just, honestly, it was because I wanted to feel capable. I wanted to be able to do things that I couldn't do before. And that kind of journey kind of led me through, I actually competed in kickboxing, and I trained in mixed martial arts. At that time, the UFC didn't have weight classes. So I wasn't really too interested in going in there and fighting guys in the range that Hoist Gracie was fighting because I wasn't that experienced at it. And so by the time they brought in weight classes, I believe Dwayne Ludwig was the first middleweight champion. By the time that happened, I was already done fighting. And so I went a few years, just kind of bro sessions in my gym. in my home gym. And then I decided I wanted to, try to compete again. And so I dabbled in powerlifting for a little while, had some minor successes at the state level and at the national level, especially since by this time I was a master's athlete. And so then I started getting injured. And that's what led me to kind of rethink everything. I stopped and I said, okay, not only is it annoying to go, you go to a party or you go somewhere and people find out that you powerlift, and they immediately assume that you can do anything that involves weight. So, if I saw, the Olympics came on and they're like, oh, you can do that, right? Well, no, not really. I'm a powerlifter. I can't, if I try to raise my hand up in the air, it looks like I'm saluting Hitler. So no, I can't do that. I can't, my brother got into strongman, and I remember going to his first strongman event and being upset on the inside that I couldn't do most of the things they were doing. I'm like, how can weights be your thing and you can't, and if somebody asks you to do any of these things, you can't do them, right? So I didn't like that. And somewhere along the way, I encountered a guy named James Fuller. James is the International All-Round Weightlifting Association champion in a couple of lifts. And what I cared about was the fact that he was doing all this crazy stuff that you guys see me doing. He was doing even more than that in his driveway up in Maine in all sorts of weather. And so I was like, well, I got to interview him for Garage Gym Life. And over the course of the conversation, he made a lot of good points about not being restricted, about how the barbell should actually be a tool to heal you and create balance and prolong, give you longevity, as opposed to what it's become, which is something that restricts you, leads to injury if it's overused and abused. And so that's what led me into starting to do it. And yeah, the first lift I started with was trying to learn the Stineburn.
How did that go? You have any failure stories on trying to do some of those lifts, or that one in particular?
Yeah, I do. But the thing is, the funny thing about that is that once you start trying to do them, and I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. But remember, I was by myself in my garage trying to do this stuff. So I didn't really have a tutorial. I'd call James and ask him for advice and then try to watch his videos. But I didn't have anybody here coaching me. So I would just kind of figure it out. But the surprising thing is that there's a sort of a built-in safety feature in all of the lifts. Because, for example, with the Stineburn, nobody in their right mind ever tries to go do a Stineburn with anything close to their actual squat max. Okay, so like my best squat with a belt and knee sleeves in the gym is 465. Okay, and the most I've ever Stineburn or even tried to Stineburn is 345. All right.
To save people from Googling, can you just quickly describe the lift for anyone who's unfamiliar?
Sure. So a Stineburn is, this is going to sound crazy, but a Stineburn is, first of all, you need very good collar. You put, and you take the barbell and you stand it up on one end. So you're holding the barbell kind of like that statue of Eugene Sandow, the Olympia statue where he's holding a bar. You stand it up on one end. Then you put your feet where you want them to be for the squat, and then you bend over at the waist, to the side. Put the bar on your shoulders and just kind of rock it over onto your shoulders until the bar is level, and then you just stand up like any other squat. So essentially, for me, the hardest part of doing it is that you're starting your squat from the bottom.
Right.
It's not, most people are afraid of the fact that the bar is tilted and that it's going to be laying on you at an angle. But truthfully, when you do it, the bar, you're actually not in that position with weight on your back for that long, because it's sort of like a seesaw. You immediately drop your butt. You're pushing up with the lower hand and pulling down with the upper hand, so that the bar actually just falls. Doesn't scare people, but the bar actually falls as you're in position to receive it perfectly. Now, the problem is, as I said, you're starting the squat from the bottom. So there have been times when me and that squat have disagreed, and I've been at the bottom and nothing's happened. And I've tried to stand up, and I've just been down there looking around like, well, it's just me here. What's going to happen next? So I've had to dump the bar several times, and by that I mean I just kind of shrugged my shoulders. You know how you have your tight rack position. You have a nice stable position so the bar doesn't go anywhere. Well, I just relax all that. I violate all of that and kind of stand up a little bit more upright, and the bar just falls off your back behind you. The embarrassing thing was with the Scott lift. That's where the bar is. You set the bar up as if you're going to deadlift. You kneel down behind it, put your arms out so that you're holding the bar in just your hands. And then you roll it to yourself. You kind of get some momentum back and forth a little bit. You roll it to yourself as fast as you can. And then you try to time it so that it'll hit the crook of your elbows and you stand up with it like you're doing a Zercher. Okay. And that was actually invented by a member of the International All-Around Weightlifting Association when he was watching nurses pick up patients. It's actually a very functional lift. Except, again, I mean, I remember I was trying to show off. I was like, just check this out. I was going to do a video for Instagram. Yeah, sure enough, nothing happened. All right. The bar, I'm pulling on the bar. All I ended up getting out of that was skinned knees. Now, since then, I've been able to do it. But yeah, I'm pulling on the bar and I'm like, no, watch this. It's going to really happen. All I'm doing is scooting across the floor. I'm just like, this is embarrassing. Cut. This is never going to see the internet. Nobody's ever going to see it.
That's awesome. All right, man. So give us the quick breakdown. You don't have to walk us around, but what do you have in your garage? What kind of equipment are we dealing with?
Well, so I just talk about how I can squat without a power rack, but I have a power rack. Okay, so let's just start with that. I have a power rack, and I do use it. That will shock a lot of people on the internet, but I do use it. I got it from Dynabody. I've got a Dynabody dumbbell rack. As far as dumbbells, I've got, looking at it now, I got pairs from 5 up to 80 pounds.
Nice.
I've got kettlebells, and that's pretty much it. And then barbells, and then, the odd thing here or there. A couple of pieces that people wouldn't normally have, I guess, would be, I've got Brian Schwab. He's you might as well say a powerlifting legend. He invented the first home glued ham raise. And so I grabbed one of those because, my hamstrings were a weakness. And I think Rogue Fitness now has a model in a few other companies, but Brian had the first one. And so I have one of those. Of course, I've got a heavy bag that I hit because, my martial arts background. And also, as a gift from the government, I can't run, at least not that often. If I run, I pay for it, So my primary means of cardio is either sled dragging or hitting the bag or walking.
Yeah, sled dragging, some solid conditioning right there. And how long have you been training in your garage? So my first home gym, was a loft. I had a loft apartment, and I started it with 2 70-pound dumbbells in a box, and that was at the foot of my bed. Then my next home gym, and that was in 2000. Then my next home gym was in a shed. And by that time, people found out that I was working out at home because I had worked at a gym, which is why I couldn't bring myself to have to pay for a gym membership because I've actually never had a gym membership. When I started working out with my girlfriend at the time, I was in school. So I worked out in the school gym. And then after that, I got a job at a gym, and so I didn't have to pay again. And then after I left that job and got a grown-up job, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I got the 2 dumbbells at the foot of my bed. And then I moved, and, by that time, everybody knew, people find out you work out at home. So they start unloading all their TV infomercial junk on you. And I put all that in a shed, in a small shed. And I was there for about 6 months before I met my wife, and we moved to a single-car garage. That was in 2001. And we stayed there till 2008. And I've been in this 2-car garage since 2008. Nice, man. Yeah, you been putting in the work. That's awesome. And so you've been where do you live? Just for weather. I
live in Dallas, Georgia.
Okay.
It's about 20 degrees right now.
Okay, so it gets cold there.
It does. It does. Periodically, yeah.
Yeah. How close to Atlanta is that?
I can be down in downtown Atlanta in about an hour.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that kind of frames it up for me. Awesome, man. And so you kind of have had quite a journey, it sounds like, in fitness with, I mean, you've been in training your garage for a long time. You've done a lot of different things. Where do you see, and, you know, most people would ask more about the background, but where do you see the future of your training going? Because you've already been doing it for over 20 years in your garage. Where do you see yourself in like 10 years training in your garage? What do you think you'll be doing?
Well, as far as location goes, my wife and I want to move to our, final home, and we'd like to have our gym in a barn. I told her I want to have some acreage.
The dream.
And
yeah,
get some acreage because she enjoys running, and I was like, I'm not gonna run with you, but I'll walk with you, so we can have like a walking trail. She also likes swimming, so I want to have like my vision is a barn with an indoor pool next to it. So you can finish working out, go get in the indoor pool or get in the hot tub, which is right there. If none of that happens, we'll still be here in this garage. I would like to change out some of the equipment, for no reason than to just have, again, training variety. So I'd like to get the maces. I got introduced to mace work by Frank DeMayo. The Cave. He actually taught one of our correspondents who went down there. She took the training so she could write an article about it, and then she came back and she was like, raving about it, and so it looked really interesting. I like to do that. As far as my personal goals, I'm still chasing the 600-pound deadlift. I'm about I'm pretty close to it because I've pulled 565, and the last time I tested it, I pulled 500 for 9 reps. So whatever the calculator says, I think that's about 585.
That's up there.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So, deadlift is my best lift though. So I'm chasing that. I'm chasing a 500-pound walked out squat with a belt and knee sleeves. And I want a 400-pound Stineburn. So those are some of the things I want to be able to do.
Wow, man, that's awesome. That's a huge deadlift, 600 pounds, man. That's awesome. Definitely let me know when you get it. I want to see it.
Oh, dang. I promise you.
Everyone will see
It'll
it.
be announced. It'll be announced. I'll tell you. So I'm not trying to like name drop or anything, but what started pushing me towards it is like, again, I've been lifting weights for a long time. So I remember when if you pulled 500, you were the man. Okay. Yeah. And I remember being at the animal cage and I watched Richard Hawthorne rep it out. Richard Hawthorne weighs like 130 some pounds. All right. And he's repping out 500 on his way to 600. And I'm just like, wait a minute, that's not right. And then I met Kimberly Walford and we were talking. And that night I went and I deadlifted we had a group workout somewhere and I deadlifted 555. Yeah, 555. And I was just so psyched out because I just done that, right? And the next day, Kimberly deadlifted 556 because of, his kilos. So she got 556. And I texted her, I said, that was hurtful. So I'm trying to get 600 before she can, just so I can redeem myself a little bit.
That's awesome, dude. Now, like, tell me a little bit more about Garage Gym Life. You're publishing a lot of different content. How long have you been doing it? What's the goal? Like, and what kind of information can we expect from you, moving forward?
All right. So here's the thing. I'm a writer. Okay. And so you write yourself. So you understand that it's a compulsion. All right. I can't stop writing. There's no way I'm going to stop writing. So I dabbled in blogging a little bit, but I was never really successful because I was trying to do what everybody else does. They blog about themselves. And that just wasn't, honestly, I don't think I'm that interesting. Okay. I mean, I like myself just fine, but I don't think that I'm that interesting, partially because I have had the blessing of being able to interview so many people who I think are more interesting than I am. So, and that's even before I started Garage Gym Life. So in any case, nothing really clicked until I decided to write about what I knew about, and what I knew about the most at the time was, working out at home. And then very quickly, I realized that while there are a lot of blogs, there are a lot of websites out there that cater to the garage gym or the home gym population, most of them are either doing reviews or programming like you guys are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted was a way to introduce people to the stories of all these different people who work out at home, in the hopes that it would inspire them the same way that I used to be inspired when I was reading Muscle and Fitness, back in the day when I first started. Because, I mean, I'm not even ashamed of it, but my first programming was getting the monthly issue of Muscle and Fitness, and I would just do whatever workouts were in there. And then the next month, I just switch and do whatever was in there. So every month, that was my periodization. Every month I switched workouts, right? So it was just inspiring seeing those physiques there. But since 1987, there was a magazine. I'll hold it up. I know the people hearing this can't see it, but this is the only magazine for home gym athletes I've ever found. It's called Home Gym and Fitness. And I've only found 2 issues. They were on eBay. I got the last 2 issues and I own them, right? And it started to annoy me because every time you read anything about home gym athletes or just people who work out at home, it's always, well, get 2 cans of soup and work out, use 2 cans for the weight or whatever. And it's always, I felt like it was sort of talking down to us. And I was like, there's so many people who really work hard, who are really pushing themselves and who are doing great things, competing in OCR, CrossFit, you name powerlifting, obviously strongman, and who have been doing this for years, but their stories are never told. And so the objective of our entire brand is to just tell the stories of the people, regardless of how they choose to train, who choose to train at home. So that's what you can expect. You go on there, you're going to find articles about people who work out at home, whether it's their living room, spare bedroom, backyard, barn, shed, basement, garage, attic, whatever, patio. You're going to see stories about people who work out at home who are pushing towards their fitness goals. So we've had people who do pole fitness because that's what they want to do. And we've had a guy, Eric Ruin, for example. He's actually going to the European Championships in Lithuania right now. The guy trains in the unheated shed in Norway that doesn't even really have a door in all sorts of weather. He says, well, I just got to move fast when it gets cold. I'm like, you're insane. All right. But this guy is a Norwegian champion. He's got Norwegian records, right? And those stories just don't get told because for a lot of different reasons, the magazines tend to focus on people who work out in gyms.
Yeah.
Those Vikings are a special breed.
Yeah. Something about their blood.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at their history, like, hey, I got an idea. Let's get in a boat with no roof and let's go cause trouble somewhere.
Born 6'5" and 250 just by nature.
Yeah. I think that's really cool, man. I think what you're doing is awesome. Because I'm in complete agreement. I think some of to be honest, the most dedicated athletes or, the most dedicated to their training are typically ones who have taken it to the home or garage gym, because it takes a certain level of like we do provide programming, but I mean, 99% of people who work out in the garage either do their own programming or, pick it up from somewhere. Like it takes a lot of self, motivation. You got to be determined. And so I think the stories are, to your point, really fascinating and really awesome, because it's just to be a garage gym athlete or train in your home in different weather and keep pushing yourself, not for a couple weeks or a couple months, but for years and decades. In your case, like it's a different mindset, different personality, and I think it's really cool that you're highlighting that.
Well, and then it's not just that too. Like I said, I want to inspire people, but then I want to be an information source because, for example, I used to use the Juggernaut method by Chad Wesley Smith. I found out about the Juggernaut method from reading a story about Chad Wesley Smith in Muscle and Fitness. And so I feel that it's my job to let people know about programs like Garage Gym Athlete. Because if you're just getting started, just because you want to work out at home doesn't mean you have any idea what you're doing, right? So you could either trial and error it, or you can say, hey, there's a system in place already. Let me try that. And then later on, after you kind of got your feet wet, if you want to experiment a little bit, then yeah, I think it's healthy to experiment. But in the beginning, you need a template and some structure, or you're never going to get anywhere.
Right.
You know, you're just going to be, you know, because you're going to be trying to ride, you know, 3 different horses at once, and you're not going to go anywhere. So I feel that it's actually my job, and this is something that I'm really grateful that you guys give me a platform for this, because it's difficult to explain to other people who are in this space that I'm actually not trying to compete with them, that I'm trying to tell other people about you guys. So if you've got, the way I look at it is like, if you've got 15,000 followers and I've got 1,000, but my 1,000 don't know about you, and I tell that 1,000 about you, now I might have just pushed you to 16,000, you know, because it's my, and then I did my job, because those 1,000 people may never have known about you if not for me. And so I look at myself truly as a journalist. Like, it's not my job to do anything more than to report what's out there about every single brand that serves the at-home athlete. And when I say athlete, I mean anybody who trains at home. I consider you an athlete. You may be a recreational athlete, but I still consider you an athlete because you're doing athletic things.
Right. No, man, I think that's awesome. And I'm glad that we could, you know, get your message out there a little bit more. I don't look at most people as competitors just because, you know, that abundance mindset, you know, is just trying to, you know, we're all helping each other out. And even with other people who provide programming for people training their garages, they're probably doing it differently than we are. So are we truly even competitors? You know, we're not even doing the same thing. So I think it's great to give a platform, and really just, as we were talking about before the podcast started, you know, just trying to help meld this garage gym community, because everyone needs a little accountability, motivation, inspiration to keep doing this day in and day out. So I think it's awesome what you're doing, man.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest holdups with a lot of people that start the garage gym and do programming is like they might miss the community of the previous gym that they were at. And I think this is a good platform and way to like connect the people that are in their garages. They might be working out alone, but they can see that, hey, these other people are doing this that I'm doing also, and, you know, can share experiences, stories, and tips and stuff like that. So that's good. So people still have that somewhat of a community aspect to it.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's why I'm glad you guys are doing your documentary, the Garage Gym Athlete documentary, because human beings, again, I'm a writer, so I'm biased this way, but human beings are motivated by story, okay? When I was in boot camp, they told us, you know, you need to fight, you know, honor, courage, commitment, all that. But the things that motivate you to do things are the stories of Dan Daly, Smedley Butler. These guys who were just like me, but then they went on, they won, you know, medals of honor or whatever. And so we're motivated by story. So, for example, when we did the Why Project, it's sort of similar to what you guys are going to do with the Garage Gym Athlete documentary. But when we did the Why Project, I was amazed at how inspired I got from the simple act of going around and interviewing these different people who work out at home. And just the question I asked them is, the stereotype is that people buy equipment to work out at home and then they hang their laundry on it after 6 months. But you guys have been working out at home faithfully for years, some of them decades. So why do you, and the people that I interviewed on purpose, I selected people who have zero interest in competing ever. I mean, they've never competed in anything. So I'm like, well, so what motivates you to keep going? And I started hearing these stories of, you know, one person had lost her in-laws. So her husband's parents got killed, and having a home gym was the only way she could cope, because it allowed her the freedom to be able to, when she couldn't take it anymore, just walk into the garage, deadlift, and cry. So her kids didn't see her break down. As opposed to her having to drive to a gym to go through that whole process, she was able to just give herself some time and then go right back to it. You know, there was just a huge, I don't know, overlooked aspect of story that's only now being addressed by things like, you know, your Garage Gym Athlete documentary, by the Wire Project, by our website, even by this podcast. Just the fact that I hear the stories of the people who follow your community, and I'm just like, this is awesome. I actually met Kyle Schrum when I was at a powerlifting meet, and Kyle's a cool dude. We got to hang out a little bit. I talked to him a little bit while we were there. He told me he followed your programming, And immediately, like, he was just talking about the power of your all's community. That community is driven by each other's shared stories. You hear about hey, this is my PR. I met myself this past Saturday, and here's what happened. You know what I mean? And I just think that's an awesome thing.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. I think a lot of groundwork for all of us to continue to do to build out this community and make it more badass for people. But dude, I want to get to the quick fire questions of the show. Are you ready?
Okay.
What's the hardest workout you've ever done?
Okay, so Chris McKenzie, you can find him on Instagram at BPI Chris, because he's a guy, vice president of marketing at BPI Sports. Anyway, Chris challenged me to squat 1.5 times body weight, bench press body weight, and deadlift 2 times body weight, 20 reps each, as quickly as possible in the same workout. That sucked.
Yeah.
All right. I think I got it done in 25 minutes. So I ended up doing it with I squatted 315, bench 212, and deadlifted 425. And it had to be 20 reps. You could stop, but the penalty for stopping, the idea is to get it done as quickly as possible. And I thought I was going to die. That was pretty rough.
That one sounds brutal, man. Now, in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness?
This is going to shock people, but to me, the best thing to build mental toughness is to do a workout without music, without coffee or any sort of pre-workout. Just get in your gym, whatever your workout is that you were planning on doing that day, and just build your will. I don't focus on the fact that you don't have all of these things. And when that gets easy, do it in the cold or do it after a 5-day fast.
5-day fast, yeah. That is that's awesome, man. I call that the no motivators workout. I challenge our athletes to do it all the time. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now
you won't die.
The fasted version, that's bringing it up a notch. That's awesome.
I mean, the weight doesn't have to stay the same, but the point is that you get through it. You just grit yourself out, because just think about our ancestors. How many times did they do stuff without food because it just had to be done?
Completely agree, man. All right, if you could only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Barbell and plates.
Barbell and plates. All right.
If you could add a piece of equipment to your gym, what would it be?
Safety squat bar.
All right. All right, man. So as we've discussed, a lot of garage gym athletes all around the world listening to this. So what would your best advice be for them?
Don't let yourself be limited by what you see other people do on Instagram. Don't let yourself be limited by what people who are training for a sport, who are training specifically for a sport, say about any sort of exercise. Don't let it limit you. While I have all these things that I enjoy doing, understand that I'm not training specifically for an athletic event right now. So I can play. If I were training for a powerlifting meet, I wouldn't be experimenting with all these different things. By the same token, I think we've lost sight of what true general GPP is. And I think that if you are not training for a athletic event, especially if you don't anticipate being in the top 10 finishers, you need to give serious consideration to doing things that you may not necessarily enjoy doing for the sake of your health and longevity, because your kids deserve it.
Love it. All right, John, it's been awesome having you on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thank you so much for your time. Everyone else, go check out John on Instagram. What's your handle?
It's Garage Gym Life Magazine.
All right. And the website, I'm guessing, is the same?
Yeah, website is garagegymlifemagazine.com. And if you go there and you sign up, then you get a free copy of the pilot issue of our digital magazine, which is the Home Gym Quarterly.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.